SOP 196. Podcasting is dead again.
It's the School of Podcasting's morning announcements. Here's Dave Jackson.
All right, thanks for joining me. I am your personal podcast coach, and this is the School of Podcasting's morning announcements, where we talk about all things podcasting, from planning to producing to promoting. The website is schoolofpodcasting.com. You can email me, dave@schoolofpodcasting.com, or you can call in your comments courtesy of podcastvoicemail.com. That's 888-563-3228. Well, it worked again. Somebody that is well known in the podosphere, or in Leo Laporte's case, he's well known on radio and he's fairly well known on TV. He's an expert, and Leo is very knowledgeable, and he's knowledgeable enough to know that if he says podcasting is dead in a speech, that Twitter would burn up with the phrase, Leo said podcasting is dead.
I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing next, because podcasting essentially is dead. In fact, I knew podcasting was dead the day we started it. It's too darn hard. One of the advantages you have with television and newspaper is it's easy. Television, you sit down, you push a button, it's there. And podcasting is a lot, you have to, in some ways that's our strength, because anybody who's listening wants to be there. But we've kind of topped out, and every podcast will tell you this. The growth has really stopped because you have to figure out where that the podcast exists, figure out how to get it on iTunes. You have to go to the iTunes store for something that's free. You have to push a subscribe button. Boy, that sounds like I'm going to be paying some money. They already got my credit card. Then you have to figure out how to get it on your portable device. Then you have to listen to it. It's just too hard.
Anytime you want some exposure, just write a blog post that says podcasting is dead, and all of the podcasters will rise up and say, no, it's not. And so, like a sheep, I'm standing here talking about Leo Laporte going, no, it's not. Now, the interesting thing, if you go to the show notes, I'll have a link to the video. And in the video, Leo talks about how he's the guy behind This Week in Tech. Again, very good podcast, very knowledgeable. He's also the guy that headlines are now saying that he's trying to, it's either patent or copyright, trademark. It might be trademark, the phrase netcasting. He's never wanted to call it podcasting. He's trying to trademark the phrase netcasting. So maybe that's why he wants podcasting to be dead, so everyone will start calling it netcasting. Actually, what he wants people to do is realize that he's talking about a new network that he wants to start. And really what he's talking about is that he's saying that it's too hard. That was his phrase. Podcasting is dead because it's too hard for people to subscribe to a podcast. To this I say, Leo, please go to schoolofpodcasting.com/iTunes. And if you don't have iTunes, you can go to itunes.com and install it. It's free. Once you have it, go to schoolofpodcasting.com/iTunes and click once on the button that says subscribe. Somehow Leo thinks that's too hard. And I understand you have to load iTunes, but come on now. Podcasting is too hard. Go to learntosubscribe.com, Leo. Now, in this video, he actually brings up a lot of stuff about how powerful podcasting is. How, because he delivers a niche, he gets $70 per CPM. That's per 1,000 downloads. And he said he was getting $7,000 per ad on his podcast, because he has, if you do the math, about 100,000 listeners then. So something that's paying the bills for him is dead? No. Really what Leo is talking about, and this is why I want to go watch the video. He's talking about the fact that downloads are going to become, more than likely, less important, because more and more people will be streaming your podcast over the phone. You can actually go to Wizard Media and have an iPod application, not an iPod, an iPhone application. You can have one made for free. And I'm in the process of having one made to where you could actually stream the podcast on your iPhone. You could email the podcast. You could call in your comments to the podcast, all via this iPhone application. So more and more things are going to be streaming as opposed to downloading, potentially in the future. He also says it's too hard to synchronize your portable media device. I don't know, Leo. I plug in my iPod in the morning, and when I go to work, after I unplug it, all my stuff is on it. So I plugged it in. The other thing he talks about, you have to have a portable media device. No, you don't. You don't have to have a portable media device to listen to an iPhone. But we're all talking about Leo Laporte now, aren't we? And so if podcasting is dead, everybody thinks, oh, well, then maybe I shouldn't do a podcast. No, new media is not dead. The way people consume it may get easier in the future. I know everybody's talking about this Roku box, ROKU. I need to look into this. I've heard numerous people talk about how this is a game changer. It makes things very easy. Okay, that's a great thing. So it's going to be easier for people to consume my content. That's great. But I hate it when people say podcasting is dead because people think, well, then I shouldn't start a podcast. That's not what he's saying. Not what he's saying at all. And he was talking about how, newspapers and radio are in trouble. Of course they are. We all know that. But in the same way that when VCRs came out, they said movies were going to die. And they're not. When cassette decks, the Walkman and portable CD players came out, they said radio is going to be really hurt. No, radio's still around. So new media is not dead. The way people consume it may change in the future, but the great thing he does say in this is that the playing field is leveled. We can all reach a global audience. We can all get, thousands of views on YouTube. Now, granted, newspapers, television, if they tell people to go to YouTube and watch their video, if they say go listen to our podcast, more and more people are going to know about it, which is what I was talking about in a previous episode. It's all about how you promote your podcast now is really going to be important. So new media and podcasting is not dead. So I'm not sure I forget the name of the conference he said this at. Speaking of conferences, Adam Carolla, who was a guy on radio who got fired by CBS Radio and went right to podcasting and is having great success. He's going to be at the New Media, the Blog World / New Media Expo. That is in a couple weeks. And if you want to go to that, go to schoolofpodcasting.com/expo. I unfortunately will not be going, but I will be there in spirit. Now, the last thing I wanted to give you today, I always talk about how at the School of Podcasting we have tutorials, we have resources, and of course we have me, your personal podcast coach, to walk you through. What do you mean by resources? Well, I'm kind of bummed. I've been using Feed Demon as an RSS reader. Now, what this does is, let's say I have, for one of my podcasts, it's a podcast about the music business. I read about 20 to 25 music business blogs. And rather than having to go to all of those websites every day, I can go to those websites, take their RSS feed, and put it into this RSS reader. And the great thing I loved about Feed Demon is I could read a post and say, ooh, this is great. I want to talk about this on the Musician's Cooler. And I could kind of tag it that way. Well, Feed Demon used to synchronize with NewsGator, which was great because you had the best of both worlds. You had a desktop application, but if you're on the road, you could just go to NewsGator and you could see all of your RSS feeds. Well, they decided to not sync with NewsGator anymore. They decided to sync with Google Reader, which you can get at google.com/reader. That's an RSS reader that I just don't like because you can't do things like show me only those things that I haven't read. It gives you a whole list. You can star things, and you might be able to label them. But I just don't like it as much. It's a personal preference, and I really liked Feed Demon because I could go in and say, save this episode, save this post, and save it in a folder. They had clippings. And so I found this new one called Great. If you just Google Great News RSS Reader, Great News, it's free. It basically does everything that Feed Demon did. I can label things like I have different folders for all my podcasts, and I can just say, put this to, over here in this podcast and things like that. You can actually have it search for words, and it will say, ooh, you can fire it up and say, look, update all my blogs, and it'll say, ooh, you're interested in, this phrase, it's in this feed, and you can go and check that out. Love that. The only thing it doesn't do is it is now a desktop reader. So it lets you save things right there on your computer. There's no way to synchronize with any kind of website. It does, and that leads me to my next one. If you're into a RSS reader that is web-based, Bloglines is pretty good. That allows you to save clippings, which then allows you to check your RSS. You're looking at the same thing, whether you're at work, you're on your laptop, whether you're at home. When you log into Bloglines, it's a centralized location, where with the Great News RSS reader, you could have it on your home computer, and then on your laptop, well, you'd have to kind of export your RSS feeds and put them into the second one. There's no way to synchronize them that I have found yet. I've used this for about a week, and I don't believe there is, but it is a great reader. It's a great way to organize your future show content. I love it, and like I said, it does everything that Feed Demon does. The only thing it doesn't do, it doesn't give me a web version of it, and for me, I don't really care, because I usually read, much like people used to read the newspaper. I get up in the morning and read my blogs. So that's a resource for you. And again, just Google Great News RSS Feed Reader or RSS Reader, or just go to the show notes. And you can do that by going to shownotes.schoolofpodcasting.com. Our website is schoolofpodcasting.com, and you can email me, dave@schoolofpodcasting.com, or call in your comments at 888-563-3228. That is courtesy of podcastvoicemail.com. And I thank you very much for tuning in. And again, if you'd like to subscribe to this show, just go to schoolofpodcasting.com/iTunes. If you are unsure of how to subscribe to a podcast, go to learntosubscribe.com. If you're looking for some exposure for your podcast, go to podcastclicks.com. That's only $20 a year. It's a banner exchange program for podcasts that I really don't promote a lot, and I need to be working on some things on that in the future as well. So thank you very much for tuning in. Let me remind you that it's time to live a life worth podcasting about. And if you don't start a podcast soon, chances are the competition is. So until next week, take care, and class is dismissed.